My name is Aaron Pfau. I'm the lead development engineer on the Hummer EV. We are in Napa Valley where it is raining and hailing and demolishing our off-road course, but we're gonna get some fun out of it. We're gonna have a muddy course here. We're gonna off-road through some twist ditches, some large rocks. We got a half pipe out here, a big mud bog, and a water pit. In the Hummer EV SUV, we've got 830 horsepower, 11,500 foot-pounds of torque, 3 motors, 2 in the rear, 1 in the front, 13 inches of suspension travel, and 35-inch tires with a virtual rear locker and a physical front locker. So we should be able to get through everything here, but we've got some hooks in to little features here to get us out of a sticky situation with rear steer and extract mode. So we'll see if we need them. Yeah, so the pickup truck has a 9-inch longer wheelbase, which gives us the ability to put a larger battery in there. So that's the main difference why we have a little more power in the pickup. We'll fire up.
Well, not really. It's not a fire.
Poor choice of words. So,
Crab walk?
Yeah, we're gonna start with crab walk. I'm gonna put it into terrain mode. Terrain modes are kind of low speed rock crawling mode here, where we optimize all of our calibrations for this type of driving. So I'm switching through. I'm gonna enter terrain mode and accept, which is gonna adjust a lot of things, including our traction control. To get into crab walk, I'm going to press and hold our rear steer button here on the console. And we've got this graphic that when that circle closes, that tells me I've held onto the button long enough. What you're looking at is a really muddy underbody camera that populates when we enter crab walk. And we show underbody and we show the overhead view so that you kind of get a feel for what the vehicle's doing as you're moving through whatever obstacle it is. Basically, in line with the center console, this direction, and our heels. So it's center of the vehicle, basically right down below here. Yep, just behind the front axle. And then there's also a rear facing camera as well. Washer is standard, yeah. And we've been doing runs here, so it's been caked and dried on here. But yeah, with these cameras and then all the other 17 different camera views that we have, you can really see every corner of the vehicle and the inboard and outboard sidewalls of all 4 tires. So you can really kind of place the vehicle where you want it on the trail, keep your sidewalls out of harm's way. So we're in crab walk. All I'm going to do is kind of turn back and forth through. We're going to keep our heading straight, but you're going to feel the vehicle diagonally drive up the side of the half pipe. I'm going to turn to the right. Turn the wipers on here. So you might have a weird kind of sensation, right, as we're doing this, but it's much more than just a fun, weird thing to experience. It actually gives us a lot of benefit off-road, being able to independently control the rear of the vehicle. You know, and we're going to do a lot of this, we're going to be sliding around and bumping around and stuff. You could find yourself up next to a hard object or a tree or something that you don't want to damage the vehicle with. So we actually have that ability to move the rear independently of the front, however the conditions need, and then keep your vehicle out of harm's way. Put it on the front view here as I'm going to exit back out of crab walk into our auto or what we would have for startup. Auto rear steer will give us a really tight turning circle. It's 10 degrees in the rear, and it gives us 35.4 inch turn circle, so similar to that of a Chevy Bolt, which is pretty wild. You do have instant torque, so the beauty there is need to have a a crawl ratio, you have that torque immediately available, and then through our controls we can manage that torque through, you know, the progression of your accel pedal apply, so we can have as much or little torque as we feel we need.
But the vehicle decides that, or like if you floor it, it will go really, I mean, not in these conditions, but
yeah, not in these conditions. But yeah, it
will adjust a little bit.
Yep, absolutely. And
Okay.
and we tailor all that through our drive modes, right? So when we went into terrain mode, that's adjusting our power progression accordingly for a low speed kind of rock crawling type event. We also have what we call a virtual locker. So by having two motors in the rear and one in the front, we can also, with this essentially couple, we can really control how we manage that torque and the wheel speeds, cross car and fore aft. So this is kind of a nice setup for going through a pretty aggressive and muddy rock crawl here. But the beauty of this is that it also allows you to turn, whereas, you know, a traditional locker makes it difficult to turn. So we're going to bounce through a lot of this stuff. You'll hear some bad sounds. That's okay. We have a full protection from front to back, skid plates, completely flat underbody. It's front bumper to rear axle, completely flat with the exception of the cameras, and no, you know, diffs hanging down or, you know, shock mounts or anything like that. So we'll articulate here the suspension a little bit. We'll get a couple tires up in the air. Kind of balancing here on two right now. I mentioned extract mode. We have the ability to adjust the height, the suspension height, up 6 inches. Right now we're up 2 inches. It's not automatic based on the mode, and the reason for that is you have a lot of ground clearance as it is at normal ride height. So for most off-roading, you're going to be fine as it is. But in you know, some more aggressive stuff like this, we'll switch it to the first notch up, which is just under 2 inches. Extract mode is available once you enter terrain, right, which is what we're in, terrain mode. And extract takes you up that nearly 6 inches, which will give you 16 inches of ground clearance at that point. So I'm going to enter the, I'm going to engage the front locker here, and this is a deliberate long press. Most of the time you don't need the front locker, but in this case, you can see, this is like a couple feet deep here of mud and clay, and it's very slick. So we would like you to be, you know, ideally low speed. You're not going to be able to engage it at higher speeds, and really it's really just, I'd say 9 times out of 10 not necessary. This button will get you through almost anything that you would need to. This is for that, you know, once in a great while where you actually need just a little bit more. And that'll get you that. Automatically start to disengage around 25, if I remember correctly. The virtual one we adjust constantly based on speed. Is nice because we can effectively lock cross car and fore aft. However, as a function of the steering input, we will adjust the torques and the wheel speed so that you can navigate turns still, but still have effectively a locker back there. It's kind of the best of both worlds. All right, I am going to kind of bounce through some of this here, so it'll be a little bumpy. If you guys are ready.
Let's go.
All right. We actually started blazing a new trail here this morning because it's getting rough, but we didn't want you to miss the water trough over here, so I'm gonna kind of bounce through some of this as well. Now we'll get is the water trough. So we're capable.
How deep is this?
It was about 25, 26. It's now a little bit higher than that. But it's going to be in that ballpark. 26. What's in the bottom is this rock scale. So here we have more logs, of course. I'm just going to kind of bounce through them a little bit here. You see, based on the speed there, just adjust the damping to make it a pretty smooth ride going through there.
And that's the skid plates at about, what, 12.5 inches?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, right around 12 at that point. All right. Any questions?
I think you covered everything, right?
I think so.
Thank you.